Hello, everyone. Happy summer, and welcome to the latest episode of the Two World Podcast. My name is Barney, and I'm getting us started off today. And today I am with my wonderful co-host, and he is...
Hi, everyone. My name is Ken, and happy summer also to you, Northern Hemisphere people.
That's a very good point. Yes.
We want to be fair.
We do, right? Yeah. I'm sure we have friends in Australia and elsewhere in the Southern Hemisphere who are probably so cold.
Could be.
Yeah.
Winter has arrived.
One thing that you always hear when summer is on the way or coming up is, the summer reading list or whatnot. And we thought we'd talk a little bit about reading books, but mostly about being in a book club. Probably the closest thing I've ever been to being in a book club is back in elementary school when we did Book It. And you would read, you had to read 6 books and tell the teacher about them. And then you got a star, and then you turned in that badge for a personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut. And boy, that was always exciting for me. That was the only time that I could really get into reading when I was younger. And then just as I got older, I started to develop a real love for reading. And as Ken and I were talking beforehand, as much as I read and as much as I spend a lot of time reading thanks to being on the train, I've never been in a book club, but I always think it must be really neat to read a book at the same time as everyone else, but also stop periodically in that reading and kind of discuss what you've learned, where you are, what you've been thinking. And so today's going to be a fun time for me to get like a sneak peek. What is it like to be in a book club? And then maybe I'll send some feelers out and get myself involved in one after this. But Ken, what about you? Have you been in more than one book club? And how about the book club you're in now?
Well, yeah, I haven't been, Barney, and I find it interesting you kind of rehashing Book It from younger days. I was not a book reader either. Yeah, my attention span wasn't good. Loved getting hold of the newspaper growing up,
Mm.
especially the sports section.
Oh, yeah.
And in our school 100 years ago, we had the weekly readers, and I just couldn't wait for that to get there because it was like getting a little newspaper in class, and it was short enough that I could endure it
Yeah.
and not lose interest or focus. So, yeah. But like you, as I got older, the magic of books certainly took hold,
Mm-hmm.
and I always enjoyed reading and thankfully from having friends, including you and people surround you with perhaps interest in other genres besides just reading mysteries or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whatever you're into, really opened a lot of avenues. And and then in the about the middle of 2024, our niece Briana, also an avid reader, suggested the idea of getting together book club amongst the family. And when I say family, I'm talking my wife's side because I don't have family in this area. And she pulled this together, and we started in the fall of 2024. And I don't remember the title of the first book, but I remember it was about orphan trains. And when I talk about expanding horizons, I embarrassed to say I had never heard of orphan trains,
Mm-hmm.
which involved, transporting children from the East in this country, across the country, and hopefully finding them homes, and right then I thought, "Ooh, this is gonna be a good thing, to learn from." We generally sit down at a place called the Linkway Cafe, which is in Dalton, Ohio. It's right next to a large church called Living Water, and this little cafe, coffee shop kinda combo has a couple extra rooms, and on a Thursday evening, we never seem to have to really reserve. We never
Mm-hmm.
have. We just kinda wander in and assume the space, once a month on a Thursday around 6 o'clock, 6:15, and conduct our our book club. We don't have a name. I I being the clever person I think I am, I suggested a few names and come up with this a little Italian,
Uh-huh.
version of the word book club, and yeah, it was greeted with pretty much indifference, and that was a good hint to me that perhaps this wasn't the way to go. And, so I think, most often we just call ourselves Bookies and
Uh-huh.
kinda go from there. So, yeah,
Mm, mhm, mhm.
those are sort of the origins.
I'm curious, maybe this is a little bit off tangent, but you were saying that, one nice thing about book clubs is it kind of stretches you a little bit for different genres to read. In your case, what are I think you and I have texted a few times, and I one time I mentioned I was in the middle of reading a book about dark elves, and then you said maybe that was something new to you. But so I'm a big fantasy guy, but I also like historical fiction. What naturally, if you're choosing books on your own, what kind of genre do you tend to gravitate toward?
There was a time when I gravitated toward mystery and still do somewhat
Hmm.
because I enjoy a nicely crafted mystery, and I've got a couple sitting around now, and then for those of you that have watched this program occasionally, you know that we've interviewed some authors that tend toward Amish, and there was a while when I was reading a lot by an Amish mystery writer,
Hmm.
person based in the Amish country,
Hmm.
and leaned towards that. But, you mentioned fantasy, Barney, and I've got
Hmm.
a book I think I mentioned to you sitting at home right now that I wanna get to. It's about the history of fairies, and I'm really
Oh,
anxious to see how that feels.
oh yeah.
Um, yeah,
Mm.
and you mentioned historical fiction.
Hmm.
I do enjoy that, especially when there's elements of true history that
Yes.
blend well. Yeah. I guess I probably read the least of nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm involved in a book about Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect, right now, and it's
Right.
been an enjoyable
Hmm.
read, but I guess I don't look there first.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'd be curious to ask you, Barney, where you live in Japan, are there bookstores? Do you go into, or are you basically online looking, seeking, and buying?
Yeah, bookstores are actually a real big deal here in Japan. Again, we've talked back and forth how you would really love it here because people still read the newspaper on the train, even in this day and age. And people often, you'll see them reading, physical books on the train. But one interesting thing that is, I guess it's just maybe, I don't know if it's common courtesy or if it's just done to help everyone feel more at ease and feel ready to pick whatever book they want to because they are reading on the train. But when you buy a book, they also give you a book cover. And it's usually just a plain brown piece of, book cover that maybe has the shop's name on it. But, you can't just look at what someone is reading and know what title they're reading. So it's all kind of anonymous in that way. And I think that's neat because it's such a shared space. You don't want to feel you want to read what you want to read and not feel uncomfortable thinking, oh, that person's reading this, or me on the other hand, lean over and say, oh, that's a good one. Have you made it to this part yet?
Mhm.
In the story. But in my own personal situation, I really was enraptured, I guess. It really caught my imagination, the Kindle, the Amazon Kindle, being able to hold all those books in one nice device that is easy to look at and read from. So I
Mhm.
had I had one of the early ones for a long time, but now I just use my phone. And then yeah, it's amazing that the public library, the Wayne County Public Library, I can use my even in Japan, I can use my library card and borrow books, and they're automatically returned in 3 weeks, and then I don't have to worry about late fees, and I
Yeah.
can enjoy a wide range of choices in English, that I wouldn't necessarily I wouldn't have the chance to get a hold of at all here. So that's nice that this technology is available.
So when you would be on a train, do you think it's acceptable culturally or just general human behavior to you see all these people with books and you don't know what
Mhm,
they're reading to say, "Hey, pardon me, I'm curious what you're reading," or is it are people basically going their way that day like I would picture here in America?
mhm.
I don't live in a city, but how would that go?
That is a great question. I I think in that case, it would kind of depend on the feel of the train. Like, is it very crowded or not? I know one time I was on a train that wasn't crowded at all, and the person next to me, she was reading an English book. I think she was reading Howl's Moving Castle, actually, and And then it was rare to see someone reading an English book. So I just mentioned, oh, I had read it too. So I said, oh, this is such a good book. Have you read the one that comes before it, Castle in the Sky? And she said, oh, no, I wasn't aware of that. And then we had just a little chat in that case. And then I found out that she was attending university in the US. So maybe she's a little bit used to that, maybe a little bit of a rare case. But I can imagine if you see someone who feels like maybe receptive and it's not a busy train, that it would be okay to just strike up a conversation. But you know, the the books are smaller. They don't have my wife sometimes has books here nearby, but
Mhm.
they're only maybe 6 inches high or so. And so
Ah,
they're quite dense with the amount of text on the page. And it's not readily that you can just glance over and see even the title. So it just really remains a mystery as to what that person is reading.
okay.
hmm
Wow.
hmm
I so many questions come to mind because I'm trying to picture,
Yeah.
how you live and how everything functions, and I guess it gets us off course a bit, but
No.
it's just
hmm
fascinating to think that you in Japan can access the library that I can drive
I
to,
know. I know.
and I use Libby and
Uh huh.
CleveNet here as
Right.
well,
Right.
and then it can if there's an audiobook available into the car, I can go and,
Right.
I have to tell you, I'm now listening in the car to Treasure Island.
Oh,
I'm very
wow.
lacking in the quote classics, and those you can get for free almost,
hmm
anywhere.
No one's on the list for those. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's interesting to hit that one now.
Uh-huh. I'm a little bit curious in your book club, the the selection of the books. It was interesting that you mentioned that the first one was about orphan trains because I happened to know about that by reading a nonfiction book called
Mhm.
Here Is Where, and it was so interesting. It was about I think he's a newspaper writer or reporter, and he just decided to go around America and find these, like, here is where something happened, or here's where something started. These little landmarks, not major things, but, like he went to a place in Hawaii where a Japanese World War II pilot had crashed. And, there was some, it wasn't so cut and dry as to what happened at that case on that island. And then, he went to where, you know, like Novocaine was used for the first time, something like that, really small things. And then he also had the chance to go to a place that dealt with orphan trains, and he saw how some people really benefited from that, and some people kind of wished that they had hadn't been put on them. But he
Mhm.
it was really interesting to read that and to see these little aspects of American history that probably we don't know about. But getting away from my aside and back to the question, do you like rotate who chooses the book that you'll read, or do you vote on it, or is it at the whim of the person who happens to have the scepter at that time, or how does that go with your group?
Well, that is a good question, Barney. She was very diplomatic in the beginning, to really give an ample opportunity, and she invited a lot of people to be part of this, and, these things kinda naturally pare down.
Mhm, mhm.
Some folks aren't comfortable,
Yeah.
offering opinions and, the pressure of reading, whatever,
Mm.
and so we did sort of rotate around, selecting a book. Some folks don't prefer that. It might be interesting at this point. I know the slides we prepared
Oh,
in a
sure.
certain order.
Mhm.
Can you access any one at a given
Oh, yeah.
moment, or
Mhm. Yeah.
if you would pull up the one, that says Sipsworth.
Sure. Alright, I'll share the screen here.
For me, this was one of those vacation reads where I went to a bookstore in Vermont, and a lot of times now, Barney, in the bookstores here in the States, and maybe it's always been and I never noticed,
Mm.
there'll be slips of paper sticking out of the tops of certain books where the staff will make
Oh.
their comments and make
Oh,
their
interesting.
recommendations, and
Mhm.
this was one of them, and it was a relatively short book that I thought, "Okay, this feels like a vacation read to really dip into when we're sitting around." I just adored this book, and in my mind, at least, I thought, "This'll be a great read
Oh,
for our
yeah.
book club."
Uh-huh.
It's basically centered around the woman that you see on the cover, an elderly
Mhm.
woman, and not to be a spoiler here, but the basic
Mhm.
story is she moves back to where she grew up, and she encounters a little mouse,
Huh.
and this mouse becomes a central focus in the book, and I just thought with the reveal about
Oh,
her
yeah.
and how their relationship went, I just thought it'd be a wonderful read. So I picked this one when it was my turn,
Mhm.
and we went to book club that night, and I was really curious, and I really feel that Briana does a great job, and I hope the rest of us follow her lead in not making anyone feel uncomfortable enough to disagree with the love of
Right.
one might share with a book. And 2 of Angie's sisters attend this my wife's sisters attend the book club, and as we went around to kinda reflect on, "Did you enjoy this book?"
Mhm.
Her one sister, Yvonne, who we call Blonde, said, "I didn't much care for it." And
Hmm.
of course, we're curious, "G what were you uncomfortable about in reading this book?" And she says, very simply, "I can't stand mice." And and she didn't do it necessarily to be funny, but she did appreciate that we kinda chuckled, and, she just was
Yeah.
not good with reading
No.
page after
100
page,
page.
and as we talked about the book, we tried to we tried to illuminate her a little bit and say it didn't have to be a mouse, it
Right,
could
right,
have
right,
been,
right. It
and of course,
could
she
have
would
been
have felt
anything.
better if
Yeah.
it wasn't a mouse
Right, right, right.
to get to the real focus of the book, so, that was one of my ill-fated attempts at recommending a book, and I still love the little book, and I pass it on to people all the time just to,
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
just for people that need a quick read. So
Mhm. Mhm.
so that was Sipsworth. Sipsworth was the name of the mouse.
Oh, okay. Mhm,
Yes,
mhm,
yes.
mhm, mhm,
So, what we've evolved to is Brianna will do a lot of researching
mhm.
and suggest maybe 3 books, and you
Okay.
said, "Do you vote on them?" Quite
Yeah.
often that's the case now. We'll read the synopses
Mm,
of each
mhm.
book and then,
Mm, mhm,
go with the
mhm.
majority ruling, so
Oh, good.
it seems to work fine, and
Mhm.
our people are very open, to giving books a shot, and this one was no exception. I give Blonde credit for enduring it.
Sticking it out. Yeah, really?
I'm glad it wasn't a 400 pager.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, since I have the screen shared, let's see if I can show. So you said this is your Briana, is that right?
Yeah, this is Briana. Her mother attends, which is one of Angie's sisters, so
Mm.
therefore the niece connection. She lives in Massillon, Ohio,
Mm.
and, we've kinda located sort of a halfway point to meet
Yeah.
for the book club, but she's really good about she would go anywhere,
Mm.
because she has such a love of reading that, it's nice of her to be ambitious enough to drive wherever we would happen to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does a great job. We're thankful for her involvement in this and her giving the impetus to continue. I'm sure book clubs can easily die, just
Mhm.
like any other little club that
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
originate amongst friends and
Mhm.
family. It's,
Mhm.
it's hard to keep them going at times, but we're looking forward to regathering this fall. We generally don't meet in the summer because there's so many things in people's lives, but we are taking a book club field trip in July, mid-July.
Uh-huh.
Uh, As I may have mentioned, we're reading a book about Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect,
Mhm.
and that is a whole story in itself. I don't know how much you know about, Frank,
Mm.
but this person that wrote it knew him and
Mm.
also read Frank's autobiography and quotes from it a lot, and I won't dive into this, but
Right.
Frank was quite a character, in the human vein. But we're going to visit 2 of his structures in Pennsylvania that I've never been
Mhm.
to, and my wife
Mhm.
has not either. The most famous of the 2 would be Falling Waters,
Right.
which is a beautiful structure that I'm really looking forward to seeing, and there's another one nearby in Pennsylvania, so we're gonna do that and only stay there a night, and probably at some point reserve an hour or so to talk about the book.
Yeah.
So kinda is a book club on the road kind of thing. So that'll be fun.
And what a great impact it'll have to see in person a little bit of what you had been reading about in the book. That
Mm,
must be just wow. It'll be interesting to hear if we have the chance. Even if it's just one on one. How you feel after that trip. It's really neat.
sure, sure.
But I'm not sure if you said, and maybe I didn't catch it, but in Brianna's case, what was there some passion that she had, or it just felt like it would work out, that she really wanted to form this book club, or is it like her personality that she loves reading, but she also likes discussing the books, or did she just have a sense that this book club with amongst mostly family would work?
Mhm. That's a tough one to answer. I have the feeling, and I'm sure she would correct me if I'm off on this, but we talk a lot on text, and I'm sure books entered into it, and I have a feeling at some point, she probably said something like, "Do you think we could get people together to to
Mhm.
to do
Mhm.
this?" And,
Mhm.
we all encouraged her certainly,
Mhm.
and and then it came to fruition. Yeah,
Really neat. Yeah.
yeah.
There's one thing I had to ask you about looking through the photos, if it's okay. There was, so kind of, as you mentioned earlier, you and I and Jacob sometimes interview authors. And one of the authors that we've had on the show that kind of actually started the whole thing of even being able to interview authors in the first place was Suzanne Woods Fisher. Would you tell a little bit about that situation related to your book club? I'll just share a picture here.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story, Barney. You and I had interviewed Suzanne when she was about to release Capture the Moment.
Right.
Capture the Moment was a wonderful read about national parks and in particular, I think it was Grand Teton,
Right.
and so it it sort of corresponded with my chance to pick another book, which this time everybody did enjoy.
Oh, good.
We we for us, we reread Capture the Moment
Mhm.
and told Suzanne about it in conjunction with in her newsletter, I believe, she
Mhm.
had indicated her willingness to to make a to reach out to people who were really interested in the book as far as book clubs go, that she would be willing to appear via Zoom
Neat.
during a book club meeting, and I took her up on that magnanimous offer,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she did appear at our book meeting. This is the night of that meeting. She also sent what she loves to call bling, um,
Which I would call swag.
swag, and so we had these wonderful, bookmarks and things to give
Wow.
out to our people,
Oh,
stickers, and
yeah.
what she did, she was very prepared for this.
Oh,
It
wow.
wasn't just a show up and,
Mm.
we can ask her things. She
Mhm.
did a sm maybe 20-minute presentation on national parks in
Wow.
the in our country here, and then we talked a bit about Capture the Moment, and it was great to revisit that a second time,
Mhm.
and we're just really grateful that she took the time to do this, and Barney, I know our people sitting there were really excited to be able to put the face
Oh,
to the
yeah.
book
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
speak one-on-one or speak to the author, in person. What a great thing she did, and I'm sure someday we'll have her back. She continues
Mhm.
to be prolific and produce books subsequent to Capture the Moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good night.
Right. Yeah, speaking of which, yeah, I think she has another national parks book coming out soon. So
Yep,
it kind of continues some of the characters that were in the first one. That's just
sure,
so
and
neat that she sent all those things too, and then she's in California, and then, she had to really adjust her schedule to be able to meet with you guys at your time. It's just so great.
yep. Yeah,
Um,
fortunately, it would be afternoon for her, so,
mhm, mhm.
unless she was in the midst of really writing seriously that day.
Right, or
But
preparing
we
supper.
we scheduled her, so it
Oh,
worked out
yeah,
well.
that's so neat.
Yeah,
Wow.
and and all of us sitting there, have been to national parks,
Mm,
so that was
mhm,
exciting too.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
that was
mhm,
exciting. Yeah. Thanks for putting that one up, Barney.
mhm. Did you wanna walk through some of the other photos that we have together?
Sure,
Yeah,
sure,
I
yeah,
think
we
the one
can
before this might be, yeah, June in the Garden book.
yeah, June in the Garden. I don't remember who recommended this one. It might have been my wife, and that doesn't really matter, but yeah, that I just happened to have a picture of one of the books that we took on. We found this one interesting. I really find a great deal of interest in people who are part of the autistic
Oh,
population in the world, and this one took that on, I thought, and did a really wonderful job of diving deep into the main character. I have a cousin who has an autistic son, and he has just been a great joy in this life, and, you sort of feel a kinship with
mhm.
that experience. I also Angie and I are big fans of, public TV, and right now there's a show in the 2nd season called Patience. We have just loved this program. The main character is a young female person in her 20s named Patience, and
Mhm.
she is boy, the writing for her is just fabulous, and she does a terrific job of portraying the character.
Wow. Really, wow. Mm, mhm. I did have one more question about
Yes.
your time with Suzanne. I know that in the back of her books, she tends to include maybe 10 or so questions for discussion. Did you, after you finished the book, did you use her questions that she had in the book for discussion, or does your questions when you get together normally, do they just kind of organically take shape when you guys are discussing a book that you read?
Well, you've hit one of the little items on my list here, Barney.
Okay.
Perfect timing. Quite often, the books we choose for whatever reason have study guides in the back,
Uh-huh.
including hers. And
Mhm.
yes, we definitely used the questions she provided. Yeah, that's a great guide. Personally, I've at times worked with Brianna, and we both bring a set of questions. When there
Mm.
is no study
Mhm.
guide, I probably have used Chat GPT to
Hmm.
uh, hopefully make myself sound a little more readily prepared.
Right, 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 right.
It is a wonderful resource
It
to
really
create
can be
questions,
helpful, yeah.
and I know you and I have used it when when we're interviewing authors as well,
Mhm.
and different
Mhm.
people, so,
Mhm.
yes, we definitely chose that
Mhm. Mhm.
pathway with this one in particular, given that, hey, we got to meet the author.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really. Yeah. Phew.
it's a good way to go.
Yeah. How about this one?
This this, as you can tell, was, Christmas time.
Mhm.
We sometimes in the winter, and how winters go, we'll meet at Valerie's home. Valerie is on got the, Santa Claus hat on, uh, up the steps
Okay.
few notches there.
Mm.
This is another niece in Angie's family. Valerie is also a person that we could have possibly mentioned on air or when we spend time in prayer sometimes
Oh, right,
after.
right. Mhm.
Valerie
Mhm.
received a new kidney last September.
Mhm.
She's doing very well, and, we're really, really happy for her.
Mhm.
But we will meet at her place and generally have a book club movie night,
Oh,
and
neat.
this one coincided with Christmas time, and we'll have a dinner together and then go downstairs down these stairs. They
Mhm.
have a wonderful theater room, and it's fun to watch movies there. I can't tell you the name of one, and it might have been Christmas time here in 2025. We decided to watch, I think it was touted as an Amish mystery, and,
Okay.
we found it to be less than artistically engaging in our eyes, but we had great fun
Uh-huh.
watching it. Some folks produce movies that have really entertaining plots. This one was a little lacking in our eyes, but
Right.
it was fun. It was fun to sit there and have a chuckle or two as we went through it. Yeah, they have a wonderful home, and,
Mhm.
we've had a couple of meals there. Just to point out who is who,
Mhm.
Brianna is next to me. You've seen a picture of her. Right directly above her is her mother, Emily.
Mm.
And to Emily's right is my wife, Angie, and right above Angie is her sister, Yvonne, who we all call Blonde.
When you have this kind of movie night, is it ever is it always just kind of random movies, what you're thinking, or are they ever movies of books that you had read already?
Generally generally pre-selected, Barney. Quite often it's Valerie's choice since we're invading her home. We
Mhm.
give her full control over the cinema pleasure for the evening. So, yeah, we've seen some interesting movies. Recently, we went there. She selected a movie. Again, it's like Orphan Trains. I was
Hmm.
totally unaware here. There, there is a soccer tournament. Boy, it's gonna escape me. Was it in Singapore when this movie was shot? A
Huh.
true story about it's a a soccer tournament worldwide and then ends up gathering, like, for the finals here, for homeless people. And so this movie centered on the story of, I believe it was a British team.
Mhm.
Boy, my recollect is not good here.
Mhm.
And, of course, followed those characters on their pathway to coming to this tournament, coming together as a team and then participating in this tournament. It
Wow.
was a
Oh, yeah.
very touching film about this. Yeah,
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoy it.
Oh, wow.
I wish for the life of me I could give a name out here, but
Mm.
I'm not gonna remember the name of the film.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Wow.
that was a good one.
Wow. That's really
Yeah.
neat. Yeah.
Yes. This is a gathering at our house where we had some food, and I'm thinking perhaps last summer,
Mhm.
and I think this may have been purely for fun. I don't recall us discussing a book, but I could be
Mhm.
wrong there. So,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
same cast of characters.
Mhm.
I jokingly at times will say, "I wish we had more boys," but we haven't been able to haven't been able to entice guys from the family to
Mhm.
participate
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
We really at times have been after Valerie's husband. I think he would be a guy that would enjoy being part of this, but haven't yet been able to pull the trigger on that one.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And this is the porch where I am presently sitting
Oh, wow.
to be part of this
Yeah.
podcast this morning.
Okay. I think this is the last one, maybe?
Yeah, this would be the last
Mhm.
one. We are back at Valerie's home again.
Mhm.
I honestly don't remember exactly when this one was, but you can tell there's a dinner
Mm.
and, another fun gathering. We've had a couple of people in and out of the club and a couple of people who are really considering, and
Mm.
yeah, we would certainly welcome them with open arms. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
thanks for uploading those, Barney, and sharing them.
Yeah. You really see how, being in a book club is so much more than just getting together and talking about books. It really seems like probably you join a book club not I I mean, not necessarily just because you want to read, because that's something you kind of like a dime a dozen of thing, you could find a number of book clubs, a number of different avenues for book clubs, but having this connection like you guys do in your case must just make it so much richer to, you know, be related, yeah, sure, but also be friends and be close to each other, and also being able on top of that, being able to share your love of reading and almost having an excuse to get together and check in on each other. I think it's such a neat thing that you have this book club, but it probably offers everyone so much more than just reading and discussing a book.
Mhm. You've hit on several valid points, Barney, spot on. I'm a relative newbie in this family. I came into this family, well, coming up on 13 years ago when Angie and
Mhm.
I were married, and, without diving deeply, it's certainly an adjustment, I know, for many of the family members
Mm.
to have me be part of this, and
Mm.
yes, the book club, before starting on a given evening, there's certainly, general life discussions, just like
Mm.
you and I and
Mhm.
Jacob will
Mhm.
do at
Mhm.
times before and
Mhm.
after our time together on air.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's been a great thing to really find some insights about their lives and to appreciate where they've come from
Yeah.
because we all have a story, certainly. And
Mm.
yeah,
Mhm.
no less there.
Do you feel that, I mean, just looking at the pictures and hearing your stories, of course, it seems like everyone has been just so genuine and authentic and kind-hearted people. But do you feel like being in the book club has helped you to connect with everyone in a stronger way and maybe feel more accepted with the family?
I think so. I would say especially in the case probably of Brianna's mom, Emily.
Mhm.
It probably took me a while, maybe as contrasted with the others to really feel like I've started to know you
Mm,
and know
mhm,
you a little bit better
mhm.
than just surface
Mm, mhm,
communications.
mm,
Yeah, it 100%. I
mhm.
I think, having gone through this with you, and I appreciate you really allowing me to talk about this. As you think about book clubs
Mhm.
and you think about where you live and surrounded by friends, family on your wife's side and so on, do you feel inspired to maybe talk to somebody and say, winters are long and wouldn't it be a fun thing?
Mm, mhm.
'Cause as much as I know you now, I don't know how your time frame in life would allow for this. Yeah. No one in that group has young children, you know? You got your 2
Mhm.
guys. You have a
Mhm.
wife who travels extensively,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
all of those things, would have to work around. Brianna has a son in high school,
Mhm.
but it's easy, he's
Yeah.
he's a guy that can deal with this now and be
Right.
home alone and drive
Right,
somewhere if he
right.
has to on yeah, all those
Mhm.
things.
Mhm. Yeah, when I hear you talk about how it is to be in a book club and to see your photos, it makes me think that it really would be neat. For a while over the years that I've been in Japan, I've kind of half-heartedly looked for people who want to play like the role-playing games, like the Dungeons& and Dragons and whatnot, and I almost got
Mhm.
a hit that would have been, like, an hour away, but I was committed to it because I thought it'd be fun just to get together and do that, but it never really materialized into anything, but, as you and I have especially been reading books in preparation for talking with authors, reading different types of books that normally I would maybe not pick up, and then talking about them with the authors that we do, it makes me think how rich it is to hear their answers to our questions and to read the questions that you come up with and hear your point of view on the books too. And I think that really is what a book club must be in a way, And I think that really would be nice. I probably you may have noticed when I read books, I really get into books. I
Yep.
really am right in there in the story, and so much so that I'm one of those people who uses on the Amazon app. I'm reporting this. This punctuation is wrong, or there's a little bit of inconsistency here. I'm always giving this feedback, and then one of the authors that we talked to, I read her second book, and then a few times I said, "I hope you don't mind me responding, but you said this character is a vegan," and then a few chapters later, you have her eating pepperoni pizza, and then, just so I feel like being able to discuss this, maybe part of me is deep down is saying, I want to be able to discuss these things with someone else, a big group of people, and so I think that
Sure.
really would be neat. If I could find a group to get together with, I think that
Mhm.
would really be fun. I don't know if I could really express my deep, deep feelings and insights so clearly in Japanese. And I know that, my wife reads a lot of books too, and so I know there's a lot of good books out there, but I don't know. I've never searched for any Japanese authors, to see what there must be available. But I bet if I got started, I'd probably enjoy that. But at the moment, I'm just so into the books that I'm into right now that I haven't gone that route. But then, as you say, that's the nice thing about a book club where they stretch you to try things that you haven't thought about. reading in the before.
Yeah. Yeah. In many ways, Barney, I always feel like we're a book club of 2,
Mhm.
um, because, you talk about the questions that we bring up, when I go into docs and I see what you've written
Mhm.
for an upcoming interview,
Mhm.
I'm ready to discuss right now with
Yeah,
you.
right.
So, yeah, and of
I
course,
love it.
time in our lives is an issue as well,
Mm,
but
mm,
yeah.
mm, mm, mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
I could see you really having rich experiences sitting with people, and
Mhm.
I have to admit, this really is sort of a family-only thing, and
Right.
I fully embrace that,
Mhm.
um, but in my mind, as it was beginning, I could think of 2 or 3 other people
Oh,
outside the realm of
yeah.
family who
Mhm.
I would really love to
Mm.
see be part of this group, and of course, we
Mhm.
could make our own group.
Mhm.
One other offshoot that just popped into my mind with book clubs is I'm aware at the church I attend of some people who are in a book club,
Mm.
and these 2 people are Paul and Alicia, and I will often ask, "What are y'all reading?"
Oh, yeah.
And by virtue of that, I was able to read I think I'm getting the title correct, A Handmaid's Tale, which I think
Oh.
became a popular
Uh-huh.
streaming,
Right. Right.
show on I don't know remember which service,
Mhm.
but so that there's that little connection of
Mhm.
conversation,
Oh,
talking to
yeah.
people about you. How does your book club run?
Right,
Where do you
right,
meet?
right, right.
All those things. So, yeah,
Mm.
there is that. I Is it appropriate to mention our one of our authors that we'll be talking to here in the
Oh, yeah,
the
let's do
near
it. Let's hype
future?
it up a little bit. Yeah.
Have at it. Have at it.
Yeah.
'Cause I give you full credit for setting this all up, Barney.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this was one of the things that one of the cases where, it all started way back when Jacob and I first talked to Suzanne Woods Fisher, and she got us in touch with her publicist, and her publicist got us in touch with another publicist with a different but connected publisher. And we had a full plate at that time, but then within the list of books that the second publicist put up, one was Lorraine Snelling, which was just amazing that we decided to choose that one, not knowing anything about her. And then the other one was Patricia Johns, because of all the books that we'd prepared to read, we hadn't had an Amish fiction one. And I'm a big Amish fiction fan too. And so we put her on. And what a charming and wonderful person that she is, just as a person.
Absolutely.
And And then she reached out to us about, "Hey, I have a second book coming up. Would you like to chat about that one?" And this was new for us to follow up with an author on another book. And
Mhm.
then finally, on August 4th, she has the third book in this series coming up, Through the Valley, which is a little bit rare for her because typically she writes standalone novels, but this one is a series. And I know that you and I will probably ask her for sure, will she continue this Shepherd's Hill community? But so the other nice thing is we get early access to these books, and I'm already up to chapter 6,
Ooh,
and yeah, I'm getting ready to transition from the new character's story into Tabitha's story, and so we'll see how that falls apart and then gets put back together. I think in the end is kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen, but yeah, that's exciting.
right. Yep, so we will be talking to her soon
Hmm.
and get that get that interview out on the on YouTube and Spotify as quickly as can be
Hmm.
done after editing, and I too look forward to chatting with her again. It's been a wonderful experience with
Hmm.
all of the authors we have met.
Hmm. Hmm.
Lorraine Snelling, that was a great one because she is super prolific, and
Wow.
that day,
Oh yeah.
you had a protege join her who had
Mm,
co-authored the book that we had read.
mhm. Wow.
Great times, Barney, great
Mhm.
times.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I really agree. Would you like to close us today, Ken? I feel like I've asked the questions and heard what I needed to hear so far, which was really enlightening, and I'm probably gonna run over to Reddit and see if anyone has any book clubs either online or here in Japan and see what if I can get started on one of those.
Well, I'm certainly glad you are so inspired.
Mhm,
I appreciate your questions, Barney. You are very good at it, and it felt like another conversation between friends, and we have
mhm,
felt that as well with the authors we've had the privilege to talk to.
mhm.
We always thank you on behalf of not only Barney, but Jacob, who is traveling as we speak and hopefully having a wonderful time in Kentucky in the United States. We miss you, and we look forward to gathering back with you when that becomes possible again here on the Two World Podcast. So on behalf of Barney and I, thank you as always for watching and listening, and we look forward to seeing you once again. Bye for now.